Hello gamers, welcome to my review of Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key. This is the third and final game in the Ryza trilogy and probably the best of the three. Don't worry though, there's a new Atelier on the way with an even longer name. The Atelier series is a bit of an anomaly. There's 25 games in the series, not including spin-offs, but it's never really become part of the mainstream zeitgeist. Until maybe this game, due to a couple of reasons I'll go into later. My first Atelier was back on the PS4 in 2017. I was looking for an old style Final Fantasy turn-based JRPG. The Atelier games are a little strange in some ways. They generally don't feature difficult combat or action and tend to focus on a fun story and plenty of crafting. The Atelier games tend to be fairly short with multiple endings. They have optional super bosses if you want to get the platinum trophy, which can actually be pretty challenging. I haven't actually personally played the entire series, but there's a quick list of the ones I have played in the order I played them in, at least as far as I can remember. Right, okay, let's start with the graphics. As usual, the characters are gorgeous, if a little cutesy in an anime style, and the open world is probably the best yet in this series. They have a wonderful variety of landscapes to adventure through, from mines to mountains, lakes, ancient temples, underwater, and even the underworld realm. The combat looks very flashy with particle effects going off everywhere. It's almost a little too busy for my taste, but I can't argue that it all looks very nice. Moving on to the sound, which is another area I think the series has hit a new high. Some of the open world score is almost reaching a Final Fantasy level of beauty. Not quite, but it's pretty damn good. The voiceovers are nice, but sadly they have no English. So if your Japanese is as bad as mine, then you'll have to pick up only the odd word. You can of course, read the text. I'll shut up and let you have a little listen to this. The story itself is possibly the weakest area of Ryza 3. It takes so long getting going and meanders around. If the game itself wasn't so fun exploring, grinding and crafting, I think that would be a real problem. This is a pretty forgettable story for the most part and relies heavily on you playing Ryza 1 and 2 to really understand what they're even talking about a lot of the time. The keys themselves, as in the keys from the title of the game, are an interesting concept though. You can unlock new areas, or you can use them in your crafting. You can even use them in the combat to give you extra buffs and bonuses, so that's a neat feature. Okay, next up let's talk about combat. Now in the Atelier series, combat has rarely been a focus of the game. It seems like they might have changed that a little this time and certainly headed a bit more towards a hybrid of real-time and turn-based. Personally, I've always preferred a pure turn-based strategy in this series, so I can plan if I have time to fire off a huge bomb or if I really need to use that healing item on a teammate before I can deal any more damage. Ryza 3's combat is a little bit too much button mashing and firing off combats, for my taste at least. Crafting. Crafting has always been a huge part of the series. After all, Ryza and all of the previous alchemists solved their problems in the world by creating almost anything in their magical cauldrons in the Atelier. The crafting in this one is just great. It's almost the best in the series, but that title still belongs to Meru for me. This one is a nice mix of complicated and fiddly, but it also kind of lets you do whatever. And you'll probably do something okay. Yeah, you can spend absolutely ages trying to get exactly the right trait or bonus onto an item or piece of gear and have loads of fun doing it. It's probably worth mentioning that if you don't really enjoy crafting, this series probably isn't for you. Unlike a lot of games, no matter how much you grind levels, etc., money, you can't really do anything in the game without crafting your gear, your weapons, your potion type healing items, and your armor, of course, because the bosses and the general monsters will just tear you apart if not. Exploring the huge world is also a great deal of fun. There's just so much world out there with hidden treasure chests and areas, mini bosses, rare nodes. You'll find random timed quests all over. There's sub-quests for each character and world quests that can change how an area looks or is laid out. It's definitely the most massive of all of the ateliers so far. You could almost argue that the game is too big, but personally I found it fun spending hour after hour trying to unlock a new area, or find a way to get all the chests in an area, or find a way of getting through a hidden barrier. There's just so much world, there's so many areas, so many little mini dungeons around, and mini bosses. It's just, it's great. Just check out how many areas and maps and zones there are in this game. It's overwhelming. There's also a huge cast of returning characters in the game besides Ryza. We have a whole cast of the previous two games returning, plus a few new faces. And to be honest, it's possible they may have added too many characters, since I found myself forgetting who was who a few times, but I'm terrible with names, so that's perhaps just me. Just like the previous games in the series, each of the characters has their own story, so you can if you follow along the story of your own favourite character and unlock a quest series to see where their story leads. And they all have their own individual endings if you proceed far enough along their quest lines. As I mentioned before, there's a reason the Ryza series was the best selling of all the series by quite a margin, and that's down to the character model of Ryza. For some reason I don't quite understand, Thick, that's Thick with 2 C's, size became a meme in this game, and it caused so many people to try the series just purely based on that. I don't personally understand it. It could possibly be some genius marketing, or just a strange piece of luck from the developers. It's certainly a mystery to me, but each to their own, I guess. In summary, Ryza 3 is a great JRPG with gorgeous colourful graphics and beautiful sound, intricate and absorbing crafting, fun combat and a huge world of quests and story to explore. Of all the Ateliers I've played, I'd rank it number 2, just below Memoru. Okay, that's it. If you like this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. More reviews, shorts and live streams to come. Farewell gamers.